Hi, welcome back to my little cooking show. I guess that name stuck. Today we're going to make pretzel Linzers with salted caramel cookies. So one thing I want to say about presentation or making cookies look like the ideal of what the cookie is. You can certainly make these cookies and they don't have to be cut out or stamped out, and anybody would be happy to have them. But if you do get the little Linzer set, they're going to look exactly like the ideal of it, and it just boosts it a little bit. It's just a little bit more, you know, I'm not going to use the term professional because it doesn't have to really be professional, but some things like this, if you're even uncertain about what you're doing and how to make, you get a little kit like this, and this is from Cake Boss, and then your cookies look exactly like a Linzer torte cookie would, and you don't have to worry too much about the inner circle and the outer circle, because this is just a punch, and you can change little things. Okay, so today in these cookies, they're going to be cookies, and they have a little twist, pretzel twist, except these aren't really pretzel twists. The recipe calls for 3.5 cups or 165 grams of pretzel twists. I just got the sticks. You know, it's okay, whatever, because we're going to grind them. It's going to be pretzel flour. 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. Here's a 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, 50 grams. 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And it calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Because the pretzels already have salt in them, and it's going to be a salted caramel filling, I'm not going to use that much salt. I'm just going to use a pinch of salt. In fact, I think you could actually just not use any salt at all, but I'm just going to do a little tiny pinch of salt. We don't want them to be too salty, so we'll see how they turn out. You can alter things once you have a handle on things. Different ingredients do affect structure, so you want to be careful there, but there's plenty of salt in the pretzels. So I want to say a little note about the last recipe I did. I did also the Smitten Kitchen, the butter cookies. Somebody asked me on Instagram whether I had trouble piping them because there were some notes on that, and yes, I did. They didn't come out the first time, and I sort of wish I'd left that in. I just thought that I'd done something wrong, but actually they were very hard to pipe, and I had to go back and mix them. And the reason I wish that I had left that in is just to show you, oh, this didn't work, or it's too stiff, it's not going to work. We'll just remix it. There's usually 95% of the time there's usually a fix. I mean, if something like you're tempering chocolate and your chocolate seizes, there's not really a fix for that I know of. But things like texture in doughs and stuff, sometimes you can fix it. Or let's just be specific. In these cookies, just go back and mix them more. In the ingredient says that you mix the flour just until absorbed. Well, yeah, that's not going to come out your piping bag. You've got to mix it a little bit more. So onto these. So put the pretzels in here. Oh wow, can you see that? Yeah, that's really full. This is going to be noisy, and you're not going to have to you're not going to hear the noise, don't worry, I'll edit that out. Yeah, there's still chunks in there, but you see how it's getting sort of fine? There's still those chunks, so I'm gonna let it go a little more. I'm just gonna go with this because I'm kind of tired of doing this. So you're gonna put all your dry ingredients in here now, which is 1.5 cups of flour, all-purpose. Your are you seeing this? Yeah. Gonna put in your baking powder. This is a little tall and that's a little short. So again, we're learning in this process. A little dash of salt, which I'm tentative about. Baking powder, of course. I've written down all my ingredients on a whiteboard. Look at me. Because as I've gotten older, the print has gotten much smaller in cookbooks. I don't know why they make that choice. Haha, I love my old fogey humor. Put in the sugar, the light brown sugar. Okay, this is going slow. I don't know, do you really need to see how this is ground up? This isn't a long process, I'm just making it long. Then you want to take your butter, and I again use the Plugra. One thing that's nice about this recipe is she says you don't even have to make the butter warm. It's okay because it's going in the processor, so it gets munched up pretty well. This is kind of fun, really. I'm working on it, right? Getting somewhere. Okay, one thing I'm going to say about mixing things up in the processor, when you're chopping things or mixing them up, that's great. To make a pie dough in a food processor is very handy and very quick. But one thing I'm aware of is that the butter can kind of stick down to the bottom and you're not too clear about what your texture is. Okay, so that's good. See, it's starting to glom together. Yeah, that's perfect. That's just what like an almond meal looks like. Very nice. Now I'm going to stick my fingers down there and be sure that the butter is not all glomming onto the bottom of the food processor, which can happen. Now we're going to add an egg. When I went to the farmer's market and I got my eggs, there was a different guy in the egg thing, and he held the eggs out and he said, "Watch the eggs." And I'm like, and he flips them over and he opens them up. And I'm like, see, I thought there was gonna be magic. Ask my daughter about that. I am always looking for that magic. Okay, we're gonna put the egg in. I assume you know how to crack an egg. I bet there's better ways to do it. I just whacked it on the counter. Okay, so now we want it to come together in a dough. Yeah, that's pretty dry. I'm gonna stick my spoon down there. I don't know, maybe you do this differently. I just want this evenly dispersed. And that's pretty dry. I'm gonna give this a whirl, another whirl. Instead of putting your dough right from here into the refrigerator and then bringing it out and then struggling to roll it, just roll it first. Isn't that nifty? So we're gonna roll this out between 2 sheets of paper. We're gonna roll it to, it's an 1/8 inch. No, is that right? That seems kind of thin. Yeah, she says she's gonna roll it into an 1/8 inch. Honestly, I'm not too precise with that. What I'm gonna do though, to make it easier, is I just take that off. I'm gonna make it easier into a better shape, and I just put it where it's needed. And I'm gonna roll that together. Oh gosh, it smells super good though. I'll hop this onto a tray, put it in the freezer. Hi, back. I have a correction to make. So in the beginning, you're supposed to grind up 3.5 cups or 165 grams of pretzel twists. Then from that, you take out 1.5 cups of pretzel flour or 155 grams. So you start with 165 grams of pretzels, grind them up, and then from that you remove 155 grams of pretzel flour, and then you put that in the mixer. I didn't do that, as you recall. You should do that. However, let me tell you, I only had 150 grams of pretzels. I did not have the full amount of pretzels. So it's not going to affect this too strongly because 150 grams of pretzels in this bag cannot create more than 150 grams of pretzel flour. See, the weight has to be the same. You can't gain in weight if you start with the same amount of weight. Unless there's something I don't know. Maybe there is. And maybe it's all fine. It's probably just a sandy dough. We're gonna pull it out of the freezer and we're gonna see how the cutting goes. All right, let's go. Let's see what happens here. Perfecto. It's a little thick, I guess. I don't know. You know, when things are a little thick, what do we like to call them? Rustic. The bread's a little thick. It's rustic. It's kind of a thick stew. It's rustic, my friend. It's rustic. Okay, we're back. The cookies look great. They came out great, and you're gonna see them. But right now we're going to make the filling. I have in here half cup cream or 120 milliliters. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter or 30 grams and a half teaspoon of flaky sea salt. I just use Maldon's. Okay, I'm going to let this melt. You can do this in a microwave. That's probably the best way. I don't have a microwave, so I'm just going to let the butter melt. We have 2/3 cup granulated sugar, which is 130 grams, and then we have a 1/4 cup golden syrup. See that golden syrup? And you can use light corn syrup, that's fine. Just want to keep stirring this till the sugar melts. It all becomes a dark amber color. Deb says you can eyeball that, or like 305 degrees, and I have a candy thermometer here. Look, see how that's getting a darker color? You see this? I don't want to lean too far over this boiling vat of, oh, look at that, something's catching on fire. Okay, that's a dark amber color. I'm not gonna mess with this any longer because I want this to work out. So to this, I'm going to add the butter and milk. Now you see how that boils? I forgot about how tricky it was to make this, and I hope there's not going to be a series of unfortunate events. I think it's going to be okay. It's 245 to 250 that we want this to get to. And again, be very careful with this. If you don't want to walk away from this, this will be a very hot and sticky substance that you don't want to spill over on you or anything. Yeah, do you see it's getting a little bit thicker? See that? Now, because these are going to go in the cookies, we do want this to be relatively thick. We do want it to thicken. And I think we're going to get there. Let's see where we're at. Not quite to 250. I'm not a really caramel kind of sauce girl. Please do not bastardize my hot fudge sundae by putting caramel on it. That would not make me happy. Okay, so it's reached the temperature. It seems pretty runny, so I'm just going to imagine that it's gonna get thicker. Let's just do what we're told, okay? We've done to the end, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know, I've not done this before. It is pretty cool looking now. Okay, so I'm going to immediately turn the heat. I'm gonna take that off. I'm not risking any monkey business with that. Oh, my friends. The day will come when we're actually done with making these cookies. Mercy. I'm sure you know how to do this. This is just simple as can be. I have my old strainer. It is as much as I'm doing. Acquiesced both to the sprinkle gods and the powdered sugar gods. It's dang pretty though. Okay. It's pourable and it's thick. What do you think the best way to do that is? Let's just give it a go. We're just gonna give it a go. Just want to put a little bit on. Oh man, these are gonna be good. Okay, that's probably enough. Oops. So there's a little technique here. Maybe a little offset spatula action here. Oh my gosh. Who's not gonna want those cookies? Everybody's gonna want those cookies. I'm dipping my spatula into the caramel. And I'm just gonna do that. Forget the spoon, forget the pouring. I don't know how the pouring would work, unless you did a bag. I'm gonna give this a go. That was so good. You gotta do these. Thanks for stopping by.